It's not just a bag, it's a baguette. The Gucci Jackie bag, the Dior Saddle, the Fenty Baguette. We all know these bags to be iconic today, but where exactly did they originate from? And how exactly did they become iconic as they are today? And that is what I'm calling today's video, Bag History for Dummies. This is going to be the quickest and easiest recap of all the iconic bags. That way you can school anyone that passes you by. This is going to be quick and easy. They're going to be like, oh my god, did you know the history of this handbag? And they're going to be like, absolutely not. Then you're going to school them and send them this video, and you're both going to be suddenly bag historians. Alright, enough of my rant. Let's get into it. These are all the iconic bags and how exactly they got iconic in as little amount of time as possible. Number one, and in no particular order, is the Dior Saddle Bag. The Dior Saddle Bag first made its appearance in 1999 for the 2000s ready-to-wear spring-summer collection under the creative direction of John Galliano. Now, it's never actually been confirmed or denied, but it's said that the saddle bag was inspired by Helmut Newton's photograph Saddle 1 Paris, where the model is seen wearing a full riding gear. I'm not too actually familiar with the terms of the riding gear. There's the riding pants, the riding boots. But the saddle bag itself is said to be inspired by this photo. Now, although the bag was popular, it is without question that the bag rose drastically in popularity once it was seen on Sex and the City, specifically on Carrie Bradshaw. And the saddle bag for Dior itself is a very sexy bag for the fashion house. So it actually makes perfect sense for this bag to be on a show like Sex and the City. Now, although the Dior saddle bag was still very popular, it became a lot less present within the runway shows. In fact, it wasn't present at all. Dior started to gravitate towards and shift towards more ladylike bags as opposed to more sex appeal Dior saddle bags. Until 2014, when the Queen, Beyonce, was seen wearing a Dior saddle bag, and suddenly the world paused. Other stars started to follow suit, and in 2018, Maria Grazia, who is the creative director of Dior currently, reintroduced the Dior saddle bag, which inevitably made a huge spike in searches for the John Galliano saddle bag. 6 years later, the Dior saddle bag in store is still going strong in so many different colors, variations. There's truly a saddle bag out there for everybody. And number two, the Louis Vuitton Speedy. Now, Louis Vuitton was founded in 1854, and they're most known for their luggages and their trunks. Fast forward to the 1930s, the Speedy was first introduced. Now, the Speedy was inspired by the travel revolution and a sudden, very fast-paced environment after the 1920s. While Louis Vuitton may be known for their travel and their trunks, the Louis Vuitton Speedy was really designed for the opposite of that. It was more designed for everyday use. It was more of a throw in and go type of bag as opposed to maybe, let's say, a trunk. Now, the bag originally only came in the 30 centimeter size, which is the more smaller size, but then it expanded to the 35 and the 40 centimeter as well. And then one day, with the pull that she had, Audrey Hepburn asked for a smaller size Speedy, which resulted in the Speedy 25 being created. Number three is the Fenty Baguette, a personal, utter favorite of mine. First created in 1997 by Silvia Venurini Fendi. And Silvia is the granddaughter to Adele and Eduardo Fendi, who are the founders of the Fendi house. And they were also creative director of accessories at the time that Karl Lagerfeld was artistic director at Fendi. Now, the Fenty Baguette is not inspired by the actual Parisian baguette whatsoever, but more inspired of how Parisian women hold their French baguette. So if you think about it, they are holding their French baguette right underneath their arm and carrying it, you know, like a baguette. So she designed a bag that would be essentially carried in a comfortable way if you were carried underneath the arm. Hence, Fenty Baguette. Now, we cannot not talk about Sex and the City and the significance that it had on the Fenty Baguette. It is reported that in the debut year when Fenty Baguette was first prevalent on Sex and the City, they sold over 100,000 units. So the line, "It's not a bag, it's a baguette,"
it's a baguette,
was a real actual selling point. Now, since then and over the years, there has been so many variations of the Fendi baguettes and collaborations. There has also even been a collaboration with Sarah Jessica Parker herself, which I think is actually genius. When collaborations are done smartly, I think they have immense potential, and a Sarah Jessica Parker and Fendi Baguette collab, match made in heaven. The things I would do for one of those collab baguettes, okay, on my wish list. If you were to ask me, I don't think you would ever regret a Fendi Baguette purchase. They are the quintessential must-have in any bag collection. And number four, the Chanel Classic Flap. How can we talk about bags without talking about Chanel Classic Flap? Now, the Classic Flap was first introduced in 1955 by Miss Coco Chanel herself. Now, Coco Chanel wanted a bag that was both practical and beautiful, and wanted the bag to be hands-free because at the time there was no hands-free bags. All the bags had to be held like a top handle bag. In February of 1955, in comes the 2.5 bag, named after the second month of the year and in the year 55. This bag, although looks very similar to the classic Chanel flap that we know today, it wasn't actually until 1983 when Karl Lagerfeld, who was the creative director at the time, first introduced the classic CC interlock on the bag that we know now today. Number 5, and a very exciting bag I'm sure, is the Hermes Birkin. The introduction of the Birkin can be summed up in a very simple and quick story. CEO and artistic director of Hermes at the time, Jean-Louis Dumas, was on an airplane with the it girl at the time, Jane Birkin. It is presumed that Jean-Louis Dumas was, asking Jane how she organizes her bag and, what she likes about bags, because at the time, on this airplane, she was carrying around her straw bag that she was, very famous for. Jean-Louis Dumas then takes out a airplane paper sick bag, the one that you go in, and starts sketching out a bag with all the concerns that, Jane just provided him. That sketch is what we know as the Birkin today. 1 year later, after this airplane encounter in 1984 is when the Birkin was first introduced and first gifted to Jane Birkin. Now, it is said that this bag would have retailed for $2,000 in 1984, which in 1984 is definitely a hefty price. And number 6, the Gucci Jackie. Now, once upon a time, Jackie Kennedy walked into a Gucci store and bought 6 Constance bags. Now, you may be thinking, walked into a Gucci store and bought a Constance bag, but isn't a Constance bag an Hermes bag? At the time, it was not. From then on, she was seen photographed wearing these bags on repeat, so much so that the bags actually rose in popularity, and so did the Gucci brand. And then from then on, she was practically never photographed without this bag. This inevitably made the Gucci bag rise in popularity, and Gucci actually renamed the Gucci Constance the Gucci Jackie. Arguably, the Gucci Jackie is probably the most photographed bag in the 1970s because of Jackie Kennedy. Last but not least, the Lady Dior bag. Now, the Lady Dior bag was first released in 1995, but then later renamed after the late Princess Diana. Now, Princess Diana's first ever Lady Dior bag was first gifted by the First Lady of France. From then on, Princess Diana was seen wearing this bag constantly over and over and over again, especially being photographed. I mean, she is the most photographed woman in the world. And essentially, Dior did the exact same thing to what Gucci did to the Gucci Jackie. They renamed it after a very prominent figure was seen wearing it over and over and over again, to the point where they became known for that handbag. It is without question that having a very prominent, very powerful figure wear your pieces on repeat is very good for the brand. And there you have it. Those are 7 of the most iconic bags we know today and how exactly they came about to be. I personally love knowing and understanding where exactly bags came from and how exactly they earned their iconic status to what we know today. And there are many more iconic bags where that came from. Let me know if you want to hear more, and I can certainly do a part 2. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, I would love if you would subscribe. As always, I hope you have the utmost fabulous day, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye, guys.